Interesting story. Thanks a lot for that, Julie. Actually, I'm going to stay on the topic of Facebook because the social networking site is the latest secret weapon of divorce attorneys, meaning that those fun pics from your college reunion could actually cost you thousands in alimony. Well, joining us now is Vikki Ziegler. She is a divorce attorney and also the author of Your Premarital Survivor Guide, and John Abel, New York Bureau Chief of Wired.com. To both of you, thanks very much for joining us. Vikki, I'm going to get to you first of all. As we were just chatting during the break, you said, I love Facebook. Is it making your job a whole lot easier?
It really is. I mean, it's revolutionizing the way we garner evidence in our cases. We can seriously prove somebody that is having an affair, any infidelity, any pictures that someone would say, oh, I wasn't out last weekend, but yes, you posted a picture and you were. Or perhaps your argument is you can't afford to pay child support and alimony, but you're traveling to Honduras and you're going to Africa. It is a huge tool for divorce attorneys to litigate and really use evidence in a really economic way. It doesn't take time and it doesn't take a lot of effort to garner this information for us to present it, and really helping us in cases.
I bet it is. But John, doesn't this really beg the question of how can people be so stupid?
Yeah, that really is, because, nothing that you put on the internet anyone's ever going to see. You really shouldn't be setting up your next life before you've settled your current life, that's for sure.
Mm-hmm. Vikki?
Great point, John. And I think really what people need to understand is anything that you put on the internet is fair game. We can either get it by subpoena or actually going on and either being a friend of a friend, or if you don't have a friendship status and anyone can see your information, we can get it. So it's true. Listen, if you're going through a divorce, the best advice I could give you is don't put anything, number one, that's going to incriminate you. It sounds like it's a stupid comment, but it really makes sense. Don't make comments. Don't update your wall status if you don't want anyone to possibly use that in a court of law.
John, how do you think, how often do you think this is actually happening? I mean, is this something that, happens only occasionally, or increasingly do you think that this is actually going to be used against people?
Well, it always has been. For prospective employers have been looking at Facebook social networks for years to see what people actually are rather than what they say they are. I'm sure there's been a number of ways that lawyers have used it to bolster their cases or to negotiate better settlements and things like that. But it's your own fault. I mean, if you're engaged in a social network and you're giving away things about yourself which are going to incriminate you, then you really don't have anyone to blame but yourself.
How often do you see it personally?
I would say 1 out of 5 cases, you're going to either have Facebook involved, Match.com, or any other dating website. Most of the time, people are saying they're single, don't have children, when in fact they do. They have families and they're going through a divorce. So I'm seeing it all over the place, not only in my cases, my adversaries' cases, and judges are routinely taking into evidence these situations, these documents that people can ultimately get, as I said, such an easy vehicle to kind of pull from the internet and put on. So listen, if you're going to do something, email somebody on your private email. Don't put it out for the world to see.
Yeah, I mean, anything on the internet is never retractable at the end of the day, right? But John, if people can't be trusted to protect themselves, sorry, my hair is on the microphone, don't you think that there should be some kind of warning? Shouldn't, for example, on the Facebook site, every time before you go in, there'll be a little pop-up or something that says, just be aware that anything that you write on here will and could be used against you? I mean, isn't it also up to some of these social and networking sites or photo sharing sites to be a little bit responsible?
Well, the short answer is no. The slightly longer answer is that Facebook in particular has been saddled with a certain amount of criticism for the way it handles privacy. That said, that's a very different, longer topic. That said, there is no inherent expectation of privacy on what is a social network. So the idea is that you don't share things, even with your closest friends, that you don't want someone else to know. I mean, Monica Lewinsky was a very close friend of somebody who turned on her. So there's no expectation of privacy at all.
Okay, Vikki and John, thanks very much for joining us. And everybody, beware. Can the rally last? That's, of course, what we're talking about.